Welcome back, OGN Legion, to LCK 2018, and KSV coming from behind after being down about 9,000 gold, were able to pick it up even behind 3.5 at the end of the game, and it's all thanks to that one man on your screen with all the damage. Ruler really carried.
He was in great position for a lot of the game. The way he played the last fight was very impressive. He was given space that unfortunately wasn't afforded to Crown at all, and Crown's score, of course, is very clear, reading that he had a struggle straight of a game, but of course when you're opting into a comp like this with the Vel'Koz, you fall behind and one of them was going to die. It's largely going to be the one without escapes. But the one with escapes is going to win the MVP. Spoilers, it's Ruler. Of course it is. 10-1-0. He didn't need to assist anyone else. He just needed to assist himself. Cut down is that final rune in the precision tree. All about trying to kill the front line here for Ruler. When I watched the replays, this was very early when BBQ were massively ahead. He was able to take out Trick, would eventually die. But we saw this sort of a play, basically off cooldown again and again. Certainly the Vel'Koz would die at the start of it. The Ruler was able to get the most out of every fight. The re-engages by KSV, especially the final one, were really on point. And it got to this point. This is probably the most straightforward example of a fight where they only had so much oomph to re-engage, not enough to actually threaten anything. And that's why Ruler had the space to go back in again and again, and go in again. This was the last time where 3v5 they were able to train down BBQ.
Yeah, and his use of QSS at exactly the right moments. There were so many options that Ruler sort of had early in fights that he held on to make sure that it was always the optimal use every time. Saw it a few times in those fights.
Fun that he was getting the damage amp from the press the attack as well, because the Camille was alive, was 12% at that point, of course. Ghost wanted to jump across jump on a hyper carry as well, but the Kalista was heavily outclassed as the game went on. And second Kalista game we've seen where she peters out very early. It feels like 25 minutes onwards. You don't get that first Ren set going. Just can't close the game. Smiles on the face of KSV. They'll know they nicked one away, even Crown. Yeah, that he played his role as well as he could with how the game went. A different game, and there's enough space for him to sit at the back and ult, and he would have got a lot of value. This game, all he was a way to delay the access to Tristana in a team fight.
And now what happens as we head into Champion Select, which is happening right now? Does Crown actually look for the Galio once again? Is that going to be something that KSV try to do, or do they leave it open or ban it away? There are a few different options that they have, but last time we saw Crown on the champion, it didn't look great. Skarner going to be the first thing taken off the board, though.
Feel like the Scion is a possibility. Crown has played it in solo queue and would be similar to a Galio, but the Galio performance was just so poor a couple of days ago that it would be at least a little bit different. A negating mid laner as the Malzahar represented against FLICKR in the World Final. Sounds like, at the moment, what you need Crown on to play himself back into individual form as we move forward. But we'll move forward with the draft. He will still take a Rise ban. Ultra Comfort Crown, of course.
Yep, Ghost going to be targeted here a bit as well with the Caitlyn taken off the board. BBQ probably not thinking about heading back towards something like a Kalista. Because like you just mentioned, Ghost not having the greatest game towards the end. Were some upshot moments, but throughout that game, you did see Ruler getting cheeky kills a few times. Confusingly enough, BBQ are going to be the ones to ban away the Galio.
Wanting to see a front-to-back comp played, because Galio does one thing well, apart from the mid game, and that's set up a hyper carry to take over the late game. I wonder how early the prize will be on Tristana. For KSV, as Tristana priority out of nowhere has risen a lot in recent match days, and something like Caitlyn being banned away is another telltale sign KSV want to jump onto the Trist.
And now, do they look at banning the Varus? Might be the first time we've seen Varus left available today. But no, it is going to be banned away here. BBQ get rid of it. Now, something like the Azir standing out. Junglers, apart from that Skarner, still there. So Sejuani for ambition.
You just take Tristana first pick.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't even think you think about it. You take the Trist first pick, you get Crown on at least a negating matchup, and you go from there. That's what I would expect, and that is what KSV will do. Because you think about laners that are good in Tristana, I would say Varus and Caitlyn are the god tier choices, and both of them are banned away. So Tristana taken. BBQ have their pick of mid laners. And also an answering AD carry. They need to take an AD carry first round, otherwise we're getting to the dregs and then some. Maybe BBQ just actually give a different identity to Ghost and give him Kog'Maw, because he is a well-known Kog'Maw player. Kog'Maw is still available, and it will be something different to their attempt to play utility with the Kalista that really did peter out when it needed to actually seize the game.
And we've already seen Prey do a great job on the Kog'Maw as well, when he hit the Rift yesterday over at the Gangnam Stadium. So Sejuani's going to be taken away from Ambition. Trick going to be on a bit more of a standard one, but oh man, BBQ, are they actually going to go back to the Kalista once again? 3 seconds to go. Looks like no. Okay, so the Kog'Maw is going to be locked in. Playing with us just a little bit there, Papa Smithy. I was frightened.
They were definitely thinking about it. And look, there is value to Kalista. She did a lot in the early game, but KSV are good at delaying, and BBQ were not good enough at closing. So that's where things came. Ambition alters his plan, because guess what? Using the ability to Elastic Slingshot and try to kidnap away the Kog'Maw is one of the best ways to answer a Kog'Maw comp. So there's already a lot of backline threat of just the Zac alone.
Well, BBQ can flex the Sion if they want to. At this point, Tahm Kench, though, looking to be locked in, and that will just be the bottom lane secured.
Worth noting.
Both teams, solo lanes only.
And Zac, remember, is very good against Tahm Kench as well, because he has the ability to knock heads and also to kidnap the Tahm Kench himself. So while the Tahm Kench makes sense in the context of what will prove to be the Kog'Maw comp, Zac is feeling already like a trump card if KSV can get over the early game that we cannot take for granted after another poor early game performance. Speaking of early game, removing early game wave clear and also the ability to play the turret destruction with the Taliyah is the reason that that's the first ban for BBQ. And like you say, all about the solo laners in the second round. Sion conspicuously still available.
Yeah, left up. BBQ probably not going to feel pressured to take that one away, as Gnar is going to be the first ban. Affects both CuVee and Crazy, as we saw the highlighted matchup earlier on today. Both of these top laners do like the Gnar, but not today. So what is the final ban here for BBQ? Do they stay in the mid lane, get rid of something like the Azir, or do they look to pick that one up for themselves? It will be a blind pick, so might be dangerous. Still options. Tempt, second most played, 6 games so far. And Sion is going to be the ban.
I think Sion mid lane was a very big possibility for KSV, and it seems like BBQ aren't willing to flex it, so they will ban it on the red side. It would have needed to be a Sion first pick. Okay, top lane pull also getting narrow. Ornn is looking very likely for KSV in the top side, unless we see another visit to the Camille. You notice the Camille is still open. Wonder if Camille will be taken by BBQ, because it will be pretty damn great on the side of KSV to guarantee the let's bounce.
Yeah.
A different approach than the Galio comp. If we do see an Azir picked, we could see the blind Camille once again from CuVee.
Yeah, I feel like CuVee probably wants to take it just to make sure, like you say, that they do have that team fight power. Yeah, being able to create even more space for Ruler is exactly what they want. And that's another Vel'Koz. Crown looking for redemption, and there are big grins on these two guys' faces.
But this is a much better matchup for him. It's good in lane, and also there's no backline threat. There's no Galio here. It's a lot safer. The Camille will be fantastic for the reason I mentioned of trying to lock down the Kog'Maw. Big fan of where this draft has gone from KSV. This feels like a KSV comp from when they were in their winning days. And now for the side of BBQ, how do they round it out? They need a top laner that can go competitively into the Camille. The Cannon would be an interesting one.
Yep. Cycling through a few different options. You can't really take IgNar's word.
Now, there's been a lot of solo queue Fiora from Crazy. He's going to lock it in. Okay, we're going skill matchup in the top side. They're trying to warp the game. I think they understood that in a 5v5, there's so many answers to the Kog'Maw that they might be exposed, because both their threats can potentially get tied up by the Zac, and the Disintegration Ray on the front line would do a lot of work. So Crazy's going to be jumping on the Fiora. Very interesting final pick for a player who usually is an Ornn, who usually is a tank.
And also Crazy, like you say, has been spamming that one in the solo queue. Actually had a decent win record the last time I looked it up, but this time around I didn't even really want to talk about it because it's been a few weeks and we haven't seen too much more other than things like the tanks from Crazy. But feels like BBQ have opted into playing KSV's game, which is a really dangerous one to play, because they play this sort of let's scale and get behind ruler composition quite effectively if you let them. BBQ wanting to give them that option. The shining light that I see is Trick in the early game. If you can keep the aggression from game one, it may be that BBQ can get themselves to a decent spot.
But does it matter when it's the Sejuani? You think of a player who could put out a Kha'Zix performance like game one, but struggle in the Sejuani. You think of Umti from our first series.
Yeah.
Actually replicating that game plan when you don't have a dueling advantage on the jungler is a lot difficult. I agree the mindset was right, and Trick seemed more adapted to patch 8.4 than Ambition, who was expected to be the slowest starter. But someone needs to tilt this top side if BBQ are going to actually warp the game. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Cool drafts.
Yeah, cool drafts from both teams. We'll see what happens as we get into game number 2. Can BBQ bring us to game 3? Let's find out as we hop on to Summoner's Rift. KSV fans, vocal, even if we don't have too many here at the stadium tonight. A lot of people making their way out, though. The passionate fans, you can hear it in their voices. Exciting drafts.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one and how it will play out. Usually when you see a Camille, you think of 4-1, but this is a team fight in Camille for sure. From CuVee, he has gone for the Comet this game for laning rather than for anything else. And the reason why I say that is Fiora excels on the split push. She wins the 1v1. It's about a 60-40 matchup to Fiora, I would say, against Camille. And then we already mentioned it, Hextech Ultimatum, situationally onto the Tahm Kench or the Kog'Maw, depending on the positioning of the enemy team, into Let's Bounce, insta-victory in the 5v5. So for once, the Camille comp wants to draw the map very narrow into a team fight, whereas the BBQ comp is really about the power of Crazy. To me, Crazy's the game breaker, unless they can snowball and just have 2-item Kog'Maw wreck face.
Yeah, it's about who has control of this laning matchup. We know that this is largely based on skill. Where's the riposte? Where is the hook shot?
Big advantage for Camille, and why this matchup is not the 70-30 or even 75-25 people talked about it to be in past metas, is that Comet for laning is way stronger than any option that Crazy has. Can only look for the gold generation and not on the same safety as a Gangplank when it comes to that particular rune.
Actually, going for the Relic Shield start as well as the Kleptomancy on Crazy.
CuVee has bone plating, but Crazy himself has not gone into Resolve, so has gone Domination, a much more aggressive route here.
See whether it actually works. It does have a lot of regen as far as his passive is concerned, but could be dangerous, because like you say, having the Comet, pretty good news for the Camille. In goes Trick though, and he's discovered on this ward. Does mean that Ambition, despite that, has to probably sacrifice this Gromp, and it is going to be Trick that grabs it. Arctic Assault gets him out. First steal going over to the Sejuani, who would understandably have control in the earlier stages of the game.
Goes on the invade. Fleet footwork also to abuse early game. Trick has gone just the most bizarre of runes you'll see. He's actually gone Sorcery second, which... can you imagine not going any Resolve on a Sejuani? First time I've seen this. Very, very interesting. I hope we get a chance to see his runes. The game goes on.
I don't know exactly which ones he's chosen. Sounds aggressive to me, though, and I like that. Tempt moving himself away from the Plasma Vision here in the mid lane as Crown tries to redeem himself.
The only rune I see
Vel'Koz
being really strong from Sorcery's Ultimate Hat would obviously be a pretty happy time.
Yeah.
But obviously Gathering Storm and Scorch and those things are not really that relevant.
Hopefully we can check it out. As CuVee taking the worst of these trades, and that feels real bad when Crazy's gone for full investment banker build.
Yeah, Relic Shield for the Bandit proc. Q gonna be just safe enough to pick up most of the trades, and Klepto plus Bandit is pretty happy times for gold generation. Yep. No bone plating. It's an interesting one against Camille, because Camille's not really about auto attack, she's about burst rotations. So I can kind of understand, but to me it's domination and get camped by your jungler is what you want, right? You want to actually have the extra damage to push it over the edge compared to what seemed like the most obvious bone plating second wind resolve tree choice on patch 8.4.
Yep, feels like the 8.4 special. In fact, wrote it down on the top of my notes. Because I was expecting that one in a lot of these games, but not going to happen from Crazy. A lot of interesting choices here from BBQ. See whether they pay off.
IgNar stutter stepping is so troll. He stutter stepping trying to threaten actually a Q going out because it does look like a change in animation.
Yeah.
Also just trying to tilt the enemy.
I think it's working. Ruler's going to yell some stuff. IgNar's just going to try and keep Ghost happy. A catfish and a pug. The unlikeliest of duos.
IgNar still capturing hearts back here in Korea. Tempt in the mid lane, where you can see Ambition is much more aggressive than you'd imagine. This would be pretty heads-up stuff as, yeah, wow. Nice interrupt.
Yeah.
Blind.
Just in vision, I think. He sort of popped in there as Crown came over, but not entirely sure. Aftershock actually going to go off here. As thankfully control of the top side of the map is over to Crazy at that particular moment. So Trick should be absolutely fine. CuVee behind in farm despite the Kleptomancy. Crazy's first back probably going to be a whole lot more valuable as he's looking to do it right now. Tiamat already done. 5 minutes into the game. Feels fast to me.
And a cloth armor, so even more gold than that.
Yeah.
Crown roaming bot sides. They're trying to actually push Ghost and IgNar off of the minion wave. He went over a control ward, so he was spotted along the way.
Yep. The Matrix skin is a squiddy, as they would say.
If you're wondering why, I was mentioning that for a long time, Crown has really liked the Vel'Koz into Azir matchup. It's about outranging. Specifically, the Void Rift, the W that you get 2 charges of. You can wave clear safely out of range of a lot of Azir's threat range. And then you just don't put yourself in position for Azir Sec or Streamer Shuffle plays over the late game. And then your ult goes through, of course, the Emperor's Divide. So you have threat through the usual disengage of the Azir. So there's a lot of options. It answers a lot of Azir's kit, even if it's not just enter lane, press R and kill him. There's a lot of options for the Vel'Koz, and it's safety for a Vel'Koz lane compared to Kassadin and other champions with gap closers that really can threaten the Vel'Koz.
Yeah. And it's understandable that he will be behind just a little bit, doesn't have all of that wave clear built up as far as AP, so like you were saying, the Void Rift unable to clear out minions just yet, but will certainly be able to, like you talk about. Crazy though, having a great time up the top side.
CuVee just waiting until he has a Trinity Force and start teleporting other places, because the lane right now is a bit painful. When we tab over, we'll see how the gold generation's going. It's almost like I had a link there. About 700 gold the lead for Crazy.
Yeah, and that's all Kleptomancy. Feeling real good. 1,000 gold actually the lead for BBQ here, as they've got a lead in the mid lane and a whole bunch of extra creeps onto Trick.
Trick's really low mana. So any sort of turret dive, especially against a slippery Camille, is not going to happen, but a blue buff steal would be happy times.
That would help him. Probably wants Tempt to go leave him alone.
3-man invade just to steal away this blue.
Yeah, Tempt grabs it. He's looking to go home as well. Stinger probably available. Crazy also looking to set up shop. Back out as in goes Ambition. Emperor's Divide does come in as Tempt shifts some sands, gets himself away. Avoids first blood that looked like it was almost destined to go into the hands of KSV.
And no panicking at all. That was really clean. Only used the heal to negate burst. Kept his flash through all of it. Surprisingly steady there. When it comes to the exit, he also has high enough health to just go in mid lane and answer rather than looking for the back and start picking up the Stinger. So good job from Tempt, even if he was caught napping a little bit on the aggressive recall. Yep. Speaking of aggression, Tristana's walking up and a couple of pot shots in and at least assaulting the turret here, even if the turret take in the 2v2 is not going to happen until a little bit later in the laning phase.
Yeah, fully charged explosive charge as well onto that turret, meaning that that turret damage starting to become very relevant. About half health almost being approached. It's about a third taken off it, but here at close to 9 minutes, that feels great.
What I think that Trick needs to understand is if he's not making proactive ganks, he needs to play around bot side, because bot lane turret going down and the rotational play to open up the map and stop there being safe split pushing for Crazy is a big problem for BBQ's the push focus comp. IgNar tries to walk up, might just die.
Yep, Disintegration Ray comes in, does use the flash to get himself out of there as the Infernal Drake will be taken from Ambition. Sets himself up for it, despite the fact that the gold is certainly in favor of BBQ. Able to get that map advantage on the bottom side, like you were saying, probably somewhere BBQ should look, but weren't at that particular stage.
It's all about transitioning where you're strong, and jungling around crazy when he was still picking up his first items was important. Now he's very self-sufficient with lifesteal and also wave control available. And a huge item advantage over his enemy, as CuVee has just a bit armor in the Ninja Tabi and the ability for burst trades, but nothing more. So if the jungler goes top lane, which we might see from Zac, he's in a decent spot, whereas bot side being opened up will allow for KSV to try to rotate around the Fiora lane. They want to play proactive. They want to play away from the Fiora and just have Fiora forced to group, taking turrets, increasing the pace of the game. Not a usual KSV thing, but a necessary one in this particular game.
Well, IgNar's taken a bit of a journey to the mid lane. That is just going to be cleared out. Braum doing what he can just to clear these minions underneath the turret. You can see Tempt playing aggressively, able to get himself out to about a 20 CS advantage. And in goes Trick, doesn't find the ultimate as the ultimatum is going to come down as well. Hookshot gets CuVee out of there as Permafrost. Just going to be way too late. Emperor's Divide as CoreJJ and Ambition turn up at exactly the right time, and now Crazy wanting to get the heck out of dodge. Trick as well, behind enemy lines once again. Hookshot comes in, stunned inside the wall, as Trick now nowhere for him to go. And CuVee grabs that kill. Really nicely done from the top laner of KSV.
Execution lets down Trick, who was getting everything going on the Kha'Zix with no skill shots. This time misses the ultimate, and they need to disengage much, much faster than they did. BBQ will find at least some turret damage bot side, so a good news story veiled through what is going to be a big little bit of momentum for KSV. The top laner doesn't go down. They will pick up the Rift Herald. A lot of map advantages for KSV and the First Blood.
Yeah. Well, the only good thing is that Crazy didn't have to use his teleport, but yeah, this is the problem. That ultimate going wide.
The ult misses, and then a lot of this is negated. Hextech ultimatum stops the instant disengage, and then the let's bounce to, once again, pull in the members of BBQ. Trick had no way to get out because his flash was down, and because of the nature of the hook shot, you have to be over more than 50% of the wall there, and unfortunately he wasn't, so was taken down. So nice stuff from KSV, collapsing the pathing from Ambition to know exactly where BBQ were looking to play. That gets KSV a bit of a foothold in the game. It's a small gold lead to BBQ, but like we've said a couple of times, Bandit and Klepto, the biggest reasons for that. The top lane CS and the mid lane CS, one of them buoyed by the bot lane being ahead for KSV, but otherwise Bandit gold the reason.
Yeah, Tempt as well ahead in farm, but exactly right. Crazy still there as a win condition here for BBQ. We know what Fioras can do. Take hold of a game by themselves, but have to get themselves into that position where you need 3 people in order to kill her. That challenge is a scary, scary ability in multi-man situations.
A lot of outplay from the Zac as well because of the kind of limited nature of the riposte against the fact that Zac can also go for the let's bounce. So the 2v2 is going to be a very exciting one. So there's going to be a lot of different potential outplay attempts for both sides. Bot lane has largely been, as we see on the screen, Roller pushing up, and we mentioned the turret not going down pre-10 minutes. Post is going down pre-15 with another satchel charge being thrown onto the turret.
Yeah, no Rage Blade ready for Ghost as well. Was doing a decent job farming under the turret, but that's not what KSV are worried about. They want to open up this map as quickly as possible, and they're looking like they're doing it quite effectively. Is not going to find the stretching strike from Ambition. In fact, doesn't even throw it out.
Bone plating on Mani is just fine on the sad walk away, the walk of shame when you missed your elastic slingshot. We've all felt it, all Zac players out there.
Indeed. Crazy going in once again as the riposte is actually going to be used early. Still happy to fight this one out is Crazy, trading blows with CuVee.
Now KSV pushing their power, making a measured move. They really want a jungle bot side like we mentioned, and this time Trick has to enter lane to answer it, but the unique factor is that Tempt has gone for quite the stroll.
Yeah, moving up the top side once again. They want to get Crazy ahead real bad. Shifting Sands is going to be there, but not quite in range. Uses the heal, actually, and gets the scoop. Hextech Ultimatum comes down, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough. Grand Challenge is down as CuVee is just going to fall. Got the extra healing there for the Fiora at the same time, but extra control for KSV in the mid lane.
They bought a lot of time, and this is a nice rotation. Tristana walks up. They didn't have an Abyssal Voyage for that. It was just a good map movement with all the time spent. No Azir. Means that 2 charges come away. And the mid lane turret taken down for just the top lane turret for BBQ. It is going to be a very interesting thing to evaluate. Because honestly, KSV want to widen the map in the top and bot lane. BBQ don't have safe places for the Azir. So I guess overall, it's going to be a problem for them. Crazy still is in a position to try to take over the game. It will be Ravenous Hydra on his next back, and KSV need to find ways to rotate around the obvious power advantage for the Fiora.
Yeah, going back home now, 20 CS in the lead. Sorry, 30. That is straight up can't count. That is a lot of items. Even a Phage able to be completed. Heading towards Black Cleaver, I guess. Could be a cheeky Trinity Force. Who knows what Crazy's going to build.
Black Cleaver against the team makes sense. Against the lane, not bad. There's usually Trinity Force just so there's turret pressure from the Fiora. It used to be, obviously, Black Cleaver a few metas ago, and he seems to know he's going to be doing a lot of this work with no friends around. So probably the selfish choice of the Trinity Force and the turret threat will be the way he goes.
Wouldn't mind it. Also like the fact that he's left his options open by picking up the Phage first, and certainly fits with trade patterns for Fiora.
1,500 gold lead for BBQ. About 2,000 overall, but 1,500 on the top lane. So they know where their bread is buttered.
Yeah, IgNar grazed his bottom there a little bit as IgNar wanders away, but otherwise it's fine. And this tower, not long for the World Ruler, easily shoving that one forward. KSV maybe a little bit later than they would have optimally liked. As Trick throws out the ultimate, finds that one as Ambition jumps his way in. Flash comes out as Crown, super safe on the back line. That's the Emperor's Divide from Tempt, who's actually able to get himself out, but not for long. CuVee comes in, ultimatum's going to be used, and KSV turn it around beautifully.
And you get an exact demonstration of why Vel'Koz against Azir has been a matchup that's been around for a long time, theorized, but not seen live as often as you might have thought. They take out an Ocean Drake. Crazy actually finished his teleport. He might just be exposed here. Let's see if they allow him to exit.
It's a really long lane, but yes, KSV are going to give him that option. Not sure whether they actually saw him at all, but let's have a look at this fight once again.
The ult hits, but consider where everyone else is. You're not going to see a Tahm Kench aggressive invade or aggressive Abyssal Voyage. The Fiora may be teleporting bot side, but the fight is never going to happen there. And Crown gets to do what Vel'Koz always wants to do. Open up against targets that cannot actually reach him. It's a Fiora comp. It's not about backline dive. The lack of backline threat is going to be a significant problem unless they can actually get a Fiora advantage pronto. Any more wasted time, any more wasted effort, and KSV will be able to bulldoze down the 4 members of BBQ.
Yeah. Any more kills onto CuVee, and Crazy just straight up won't be able to beat him in the 1v1 either. Phage also picked up for CuVee. He's looking for the Trinity Force. Slightly behind, as you can see. So Ravenous Hydra fully completed into only a Tiamat of CuVee. So still with the gold lead, but the gold lead as far as team-wide is only nothing. It was 200 gold, and then instantly it's KSV with their first lead of the game.
And the danger is that it ends up being like IgNar's match recently, where Sejuani was just pounding on the top lane turret as a Trundle, got 2 turrets down, but KT could make the plays elsewhere. That seems to be exactly what's happening here. Although there's a big gank bot side.
Yeah, no hookshot opportunity as Tempt times the Emperor's Divide so nicely.
There's a long lane for him to run down, though. It's difficult to run down CuVee. Did they just give it up?
Yep, CuVee going for a merry walk as Trick is asked to stay back in the mid lane, isn't going to opt into it, and CuVee can probably just execute himself here. You got everyone turning up, but he doesn't have a lot of health. And that's going to be that. Execution. Don't even think there was any experience given over in KSV.
They're getting a huge amount. BBQ needed to back off, as I mentioned, because there's just no value in chasing down a Fiora for that long. They're able to trade 1 turret for 1 turret, but they lose most of the health of the inner turret in mid. Definitely not a worth trade for the side of BBQ to get their first kill of the game. And KSV continue to trade up in game number 2.
Yeah, Ghost as well having a lot of trouble here as this Kog'Maw into Ruler behind 30 CS. We've got that core 2 items for Ruler, and this was the stage of the game where he really started turning it on this pick in game number 1.
Also the understanding that I think teams this week, now that we've had 4 series on patch number 8.4, will understand is that the power of Tristana, when you take out the Caitlyn, when you take out the Varus, is seeming very, very strong. as the sieging game and in general the safety of the pick, with Kalista no longer really being able to just skirt around and get true value, is starting to certainly influence games. There will certainly be Kog'Maw comps that work. This one was set up around the Kog'Maw, but the Zac pick has really worked against it. If there was a Zac ban, it would have been a very different game. There wouldn't have been the pressure for Crazy to go onto the Fiora. I imagine an Ornn would have come out in a different game, but the Zac forced them to adjust their game plan. And now, trying to find advantage on Crazy is going to be difficult because the Trinity Force now on the Camille. Still going to be one trade for the Fiora, but everywhere else, KSV is massively ahead.
Yeah, Trinity Force now completed. So KSV, Baron just spawning now. BBQ have a cheeky ward on it. Crazy on the bottom side, no teleport available. CuVee invisible on the map. You have to feel that BBQ understand that Baron could be looked at. The fact that Ambition is in a pretty good spot. The Giant spell already done. Okay, KSV just continuing to try and deny vision. The classic KSV mid-game scenario where they just look to try and get items onto Ruler.
Worth noting that CuVee has recently shopped, and I can guarantee you that Crazy is sitting on a boatload of gold. He wants to one back and pick up the Trinity Force. So he's been on the map for about the last 3 to 4 minutes, and it means that he's not going to win the trades as hard as he would like to against CuVee. KSV using this time to get a lot of Baron control on the top side.
Well, in goes Ambition, gets the knock up onto the Tahm. Kench, IgNar could be the option here as Glacial Fissure flies through Ruler. Free hitting in the backline and gets the flash out. KSV back away, happy with that one. Understanding that Tahm Kench is likely to be the target in the next fight.
And Tahm Kench also is one of the first targets you want because it's one of the few insurance policies that the Kog'Maw will have. So getting his flash is a high prize. Pistol Voyage just to get back in. They have the vision toggle now. We know that KSV is patrolling around the Baron. BBQ don't know they haven't started it.
Well, in goes Ambition. Only one going to get knocked up as the ultimate is a bit of a fadeaway jump shot from Trick. Kidnap does get onto one, and that's IgNar. The freshly removed flash is going to be taken down. Crown, great positioning as Ghost somehow manages to survive. But that is the Zac being traded for the Tahm Kench. That's not what KSV wanted. They wanted more than that.
In a dream team fight, but they didn't have complete vision, so they lost damage on the backline. And that was the dream again for the Vel'Koz, who wasn't able, didn't hit the item threshold to make this happen. Love how Ambition approached this fight. They got the right kidnap. But then, Ghost and Azir, the two threats, Tempt was able to free hit on the top side, so terrain really worked against them. Imagine a Camille coming from the back with a teleport. Would have been the killing fields. No killing fields happened. We mentioned that CuVee wants to group to actually make the ultimatum a part of the initiation duo with the Zac. They didn't have the wards to do so, and thus it ends up not being as big a win as KSV anticipated.
Yeah, and now, like you were talking about, the Trinity Force has been completed for Crazy. Almost perfect back timing to grab that. You can see no gold in his pockets, and he's got a huge CS advantage.
Call there would have been from CuVee saying he's holding a lot of gold. This is the time to fight because they're keeping him bot side and he wasn't going to get trained in the 1v1. But unfortunately, they didn't have the vision to actually make the play work as they wanted to. So ends up being a half step forward, but no more for the side of KSV. And Wit's End now complete for Ghost. He is far behind the item total of the Tristana.
Oh yeah. Ruler once again finding himself in a great position. Hasn't seen as much excitement. He was sitting on 2-1-0 this stage in game number 1. A situation where KSV were suffering a whole lot more. This was not a fun time. 23 minutes into the game, BBQ had a huge lead. Now it's feeling much better for KSV. So despite the fact that BBQ are ahead by a little bit, the Fiora win condition is looking okay. Still have to be a little bit worried if you're a BBQ fan.
You need to see some aggressive trades from Crazy. Pushing up to the inner turret's not enough. He actually needs to try to run away with the game.
Yeah, Chilling Smite comes down. They're trying to pull back Trick, but there's no targets.
And Tahm Kench there to disengage.
Yep, but now a fight's going to break out once again. Trick throws the ultimate in. Ambition, remember, no passive available as there's the Glacial Fissure, but used defensively. Now not as much of an option. Crown starting to do a lot of damage, but had to use both of his summoner spells.
2-level lead for Crazy in the trades. That's even more than the item's going to mean. And with the minion wave still being far away, we do see the recall from CuVee. Crazy anticipates that the teleport play could happen. We're going to see a teleport from CoreJJ at least.
Well, Tempt looking for the face check, actually, as he's just going to get gobbled up by IgNar. Not going to be able to find the knock up there from Crown as CuVee dives into the back line, but Crazy now teleporting in, has to dash his way out. BBQ all of a sudden become a whole lot stronger, but is this teamfight Fiora going to be available from Crazy? We've seen some of them work, but not a whole lot.
The dream for a 2 levels under Camille to actually draw the teleport out of Fiora and end the split push for 5 minutes is massive for KSV. Ping's 14. There's still a great engage option here for the side of KSV. Waiting here with bated breath. It feels like the game will be decided in the next couple of moments.
Yeah, Ambition sidling his way through. It's just vying for position for both of these teams. Ruler has been so good at being in the right place, and the wave pushing back, as you can see for CuVee on the bottom side. Crazy just fighting Ambition though. Grand Challenge goes in, and now he's just getting healed. Okay, now this fight is on completely different fronts. 3 versus 4 in the mid lane. Meanwhile, that's a double kill as Crazy eliminates 2 from the fight. Tempt very, very low in the mid lane as we're just going to watch Crazy and celebrate the Fiora. The disengage comes in. This is what happens. He's so far ahead.
He's called up and down, up and down. If I was him, I would go bot side and start pushing. With 4 members there worried about Ruler being able to recreate his heroics. Crown still has ultimate. BBQ want Baron and then some. Seems like they're going to give up on the Baron hopes. They actually aren't able to get much. The Fiora being grouped wouldn't have changed anything. She doesn't have any ability to go, but the double kill, a highlight moment for Crazy. We're going to see the replay. Crazy walks up and he gets the call from his team that, hey, the passive's down on the Zac, so he just goes all in. Has the healing field. This is what we're talking about when it comes to the items being hit. CuVee wants to be a team fight, Camille. There's not many good news stories for Camille on the side lane. Dies for a second kill. Flash down on CuVee as well. BBQ had a lot of those sort of moments in game 1, but couldn't actually turn it into a true win condition. The Fiora being this strong is a secondary win condition, but the lack of Baron control is a problem.
Yeah. Ruler didn't manage to get anything done in that last fight though. Sort of out of any position to try and get stuff done, and that fight was actually just disengaged by BBQ. No opportunities for him to turn anything sneaky around.
What a dirty item advantage. He's almost a Randuin's up.
Oh my goodness.
And there's not even a shop here. The Ravenous Hydra's ways away from CuVee. This is a sneaky Baron coming through from KSV of all teams.
They are going to be spotted out, but it's down very, very low. IgNar and Tempt are moving over, but Trick is nowhere to be seen. Baron is going to be taken. It's CuVee that locks it down somehow. But BBQ, right from under their noses, KSV grabbed the first Baron.
Yeah, there was no respect there from BBQ that could be happening, and that's how KSV got back into the series a couple of days ago. Against IgNar in game 2, they were behind for the early game and then made a cheeky Baron work. They get the cheeky Baron again, and suddenly the ability to play side lanes goes down. BBQ have to respect the banner minion that Tempt us to get in melee range to hit. Things slow down for BBQ, eerily similar to game number 1.
Yeah. I feel like there's a certain script for KSV, and that is just charge up. They charge in the Spirit Bomb, and then at about 40 minutes into the game, they let it out, and that Spirit Bomb's name is Ruler. Ruler now with the 3 items. Could be an opportunity for him to get stuff done. You can see it's the bottom lane inner turret. It's going to be the next target.
CuVee is no loner. He wants his friends as this Camille. He wants to stay with the team. With Baron buff, split pushing doesn't work for Crazy. Eventually he's going to have to group up, and it's happy times for the side of KSV.
Yeah, they're going to grab this inner turret for free by the looks of things. Draw a bead now, really leveling up, only 3 more. Before that one's going to give Ruler full range. Tristana feeling great.
How are they going to answer this minion? They can't get anywhere near it.
I'm not sure, Papa. This is the 8.4 minion as well. This is the disaster scenario. There's Ghost, he's got an idea. It's shoot everyone. It's into the backline with the Abyssal Voyage. Yeah, Crazy's in there doing a whole host of work. Crown in trouble. IgNar going to try and save the Fiora, but he is going to fall down in the end. Ruler, full health. You have to make sure you watch out for him, as the backs are going to come in, and BBQ at least keep their base alive.
That's the only option you have against these banner minions. You have to fight, and the fight goes the way of BBQ. It's never fun to give up Crazy and all the experience he will give. That's a 1-for-1 that delays things. Abyssal Voyage into the back line. Team fight Fiora is required because of the Baron, the banner, and the combination with the Siege minion. Crazy gets into the back line, dies in the stomach of the Tahm Kench through all of this. not able to get away. The Ignite taking him down. Not even the Ignite, just dies to incidental damage overall. That does delay the push. The Baron now down to a minute. A necessary evil for BBQ, but look at the gold. It's gone.
Nope. There is no lead for anyone, and if you think about the teams and who we're watching right now, that feels fantastic. If you're a KSV fan, you know that slow and steady has been what's won them almost every single race they've been in. But you look at what BBQ have as far as options, and yes, that doesn't include a Baron buff right now. That was stolen out from under them, but we've seen Fiora's solo win games in the later stages.
Will we see a Randuin's Fiora solo win games? Because you think about it and you say, oh, it's good in the 1v1, the attack speed slow is going to be nice, and to some degree that's true. It's not a win more item like a Bloodthirster would be. It's definitely kind of straddling the line and saying, maybe I'm going to have to team fight, that feels bad. And that's the option here. They continue to have the only ability to all-in, so they will try to all-in to answer this minion.
Well, the ult is going to land onto Ruler, and in goes Crazy and IgNar. This is a pincer move that's happening in the wrong place, though, as the Lifeform Disintegration Ray doesn't find too much damage at all. Cancelled early from Crown, but inside track, as the turret was just ripped apart by the bannered up minion. Look at that inhibitor go down. This is 8.4 in a nutshell.
Baron times out, but they've got an inhibitor from it, and that is all the KSV would have wanted. They're forcing BBQ to group further and further. They'll feel that the comp has also forced a Randuin's out of Crazy. The deletion damage is delayed when you're going to go for a survivability item. It's just a banner this time on a siege minion, but plenty of damage onto the last remaining inner turret. It goes down. The gold lead's there for KSV, and you have to feel like we've reached that point where split push will mean very little as the game goes on.
Yep, CuVee going to go down, and I don't think that Crazy can quite take Camille and a turret. Not entirely sure about that, to be perfectly honest. But at least the Executioner's calling is there. Crazy does respect CuVee.
Randuin's for disengage comes through from Crazy. Not a cooldown he's going to need for the next minute or so.
That's two Barons to 0. Sorry, banners to 0. Difficult to say. I feel like both of us have been struggling with banner today, Papa.
I wrote it down and circled it and thought about different ways to say it after butchering it a couple of times in the first series.
But a couple of them done for KSV, none done for BBQ.
And a lot of the banner power is, again, with Baron, rather than necessarily adjusted on a normal cannon minion. But if it's left unattended, it can still do a lot of work when it comes to forcing 3 waves pushing, and you think, okay, a split push comp against 3 pushing waves, that's going to be a problem. Now, Crazy can make very short work of the bannered up minion. He does physical damage, and pushing in his lane where the banner minion's not going to do anything, but in the other 2 lanes, there's a lot of advantages for KSV to trade upon, and also the insane threat range of the Zac jumping in.
Yep. And one of those banner commands just about up again here for CoreJJ. Crown shoves this wave in. 1-1 and 4, feeling brilliant. Look at that. Not 1 and 6 this time around. The Vel'Koz actually working out, looking to try and pick up the second win. LCK on that champion here in game number 2. Crazy. Gonna go back home here, slinking around in the brush.
You're definitely gonna complete the recall. He saw Zac walking on a ward around the blue buff. Map control, I would say 80% to the way of KSV. Even the Wolf Camp and the Raptors looking tricky for BBQ to pick up easily. So they've finally been able to make this map their playground. They have finally been able to dictate to a Fiora comp, even though we saw a sick double kill come through from the Fiora. So a lot of what was working for BBQ has now been minimized. KSV won is the Baron, but CoreJJ's caught on a recall.
Yeah, they're going to catch him out of position. IgNar makes his way in, but that's a beautiful escape from the Braum. Even gets the Abyssal Voyage out of IgNar.
Flash down on CoreJJ, probably not going to be massive. We learned anything from game 1. He's standing next to
oh yeah,
the Tristana, and that is pretty much the only role he will need to play. Putting down his banner, the backup one. Like you say, no banner because it's all about the lock, it's all about the hard engage from BBQ. We guessed it from the Randuins, we had it confirmed from the locker and no banner. They want to be able to fight around Baron, which spawns in 8 seconds. They don't have deep vision to do that. And this is also going to be a Vel'Koz that can do insane damage if left unchecked.
He actually decided not to go back, if I remember correctly. Let's rule it. Going to make his way in. Tempt trying to zone, but here's a teleport from KSV.
Cancelled?
Cancelled, yep. CuVee just going to run from base. BBQ move themselves out of the way. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to go for there with KSV because they weren't actually looking for any engagement.
They were looking for a lockdown ultimate into the Zac, but it was a bit too creative for its own mind. Wasn't able to do much. They're back on the Baron.
Yeah, Ruler Ambition do a lot of damage as Trick. He's over here at the right spot. Concussive blows, he's going to be procced, so stun down onto Trick. Crazy.
Fiora's in base.
Yeah, really, really far away. The slow is going to land onto Tempt. Look at the burst damage into the backline as Tempt tries to get rid of CuVee, but Ultimatum perfectly positioned. Now Ambition gets himself in amongst it. IgNar in trouble. Hookshot is going to land. It's a double kill. It's CuVee's turn to start styling. And KSV, once again, they flipped a switch and found everything that they want.
Didn't even need the teleport to do it. That was sick and slick mechanics from Camille to get in over the Emperor's Divide with the Hextech Ultimatum on target ability. Baron dies in half a second. They get that one, and Trick's looking for the engage. He's going to find some friends.
Yeah, Grand Challenge comes down. Not going to kill Crown this time, boys. Double knock up. That's 2 kills. And this could just be the game falling out of the hands of BBQ. Double kill for Ruler. That's the ace, I believe.
And that's the game.
And they're going to be able to take it. The inhibitor is going to respawn, so that'll troll them for a little bit. But these Baron minions are going to make short work of the Nexus turrets. KSV, it's a 2-0. Game 1 didn't look great, but Game 2 looked so good. Not messing around as the Nexus is finally destroyed.
Congratulations to KSV. They finally are able to snap some of their recent poor form and will pick up the victory 2-0 over BBQ. It was hard fought once again as BBQ put up a very valiant Game 1, and in many ways you could actually parallel it to the first time these two teams met. That one ended up going to 3 games, but the second game was so close with the Blitzcrank coming through from IgNar. On this day, the Game 1 was less close. Only Fiora was a good news story, but enough smart map movements and the Fiora's presence was minimized despite a sick double kill. The Camille, after getting beaten upon for the first 30 minutes, was no longer a punching bag. She made the enemy team of BBQ the punching bag, and it ends up being a KSV victory that puts them a series ahead of SK Telecom T1.
Yeah. Let's see exactly what made it so. As this is just KSV team fighting in a nutshell, and Ambition looking so good on the Zac in this particular fight. Brown, a bit of redemption, but that was all she wrote towards the end of this game. Long games from KSV, still not feeling like this is necessarily the flavor of 8.4 that we're expecting from the patch and expecting from these teams. But a win is a win. KSV back on the board and back on the up.
Given that they've been being beaten by lower opposition like MVP, again, any victory for KSV is something for their fans to celebrate, and they will be optimistic that this will be a launching platform for them to pick up performances against bigger opposition. However, Game 1 and the early game there was very exploitable. They still look like against a more aggressive, more assertive team, they will just lose games like Game 1. The Game 2 performance was very good, and that will give them a bit more optimism. But while KSV are not suddenly the world champions again, they hold that title, they hold their spot in the top 5, and sadly for BBQ, they are now 1 series entrenched into the relegation battle.
Yeah, and this is a team that, like you mentioned, before the series even started, they're a team looking for redemption. They brought over Trick and IgNar, trying to solidify some more mid-tier positions in this league, but once again, back to the fear of relegation alongside Kongdu Monster. Even MVP looking like they're in better form this stage of the league, and with only a couple of weeks to go after this one, not exactly what you want. Lots of damage coming out from KSV, and somehow CuVee out-damages the Fiora top lane.
Kind of a crazy thing to consider, because every time we saw him, he was not even going for aggressive trades, but
yeah,
team fights were a beacon of hope as CuVee had a beautiful passage that wasn't caught on the camera as he killed the Azir. I wonder if he'll pick up the MVP, because he played his role as well as he could and then took the game by the horns and rode it to victory. So there's definitely an argument for CuVee to pick up that MVP crown. Much improved, much easier draft to execute the Vel'Koz against, and another matchup that Vel'Koz can be considered into. It's the old favorite, MVP of Game 2. It will go to Ambition though. His Zac has been one of his most reliable picks. He was able to largely threaten the backline And we never really saw any value out of Ghost, honestly, in either Game 1 or Game 2 when it came to actually jumping on a carry and being able to finish the game.
Yeah, turning this one around in the earlier stage of the game, I feel like he almost deserves MVP just based on his last teamfight performance, getting on exactly the targets that they were looking for. This is a bit of a highlight clip of CuVee landing the hook shot beautifully inside a wall somehow.
Yeah. No remake called on that one, so I guess working as intended. The hook shot does have some interesting hitboxes on situations like that. And then the Vel'Koz being able to overtake. So we're still not really seeing the ambition. The double kidnap was lovely as it was set up, but kind of set up to succeed when you have the Kog'Maw as one of the threats in the back line.
Yeah. He's not positioning themselves as well as Ambition once again.
This was a really
stretching
nice fight
strikes
from him.
exactly where they need to be.
And while he dies in this, he does everything correct for how the script is meant to be written as the Zac. So first round Zac pays off very handsomely for Ambition, who's now 2-0. They haven't prioritized Zac, despite it really obviously fitting the wheelhouse of Ambition. Maybe they need to start considering doing that, as this was clean.
Yeah, this was precisely the play that I think got him that MVP, exactly on the targets that he wanted to. All things considered.
Actually just ulted for the instant knockback, or knock-up, I would say.
Yeah, continue the CC train, right?
And also an interesting man to speak to after their recent struggles. Feels like it's the story every time recently, but kind of want to know where KSV's heads are at.
Yeah, that's true. And on that note, Papa Smithy, we are going to throw it back to Joel on Discord to get ourselves the MVP.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation. The last one of the day, as we do have KSV, who has been back and forth onto many of the games, but they are finally back on a win. 2-0. We're going to have a word with their MVPs along with their head coach. Ruler, Tristana, carry, those are the words that are synonymous with you today. I mean, it's been such a long time since we had a win, right? And I feel like it feels good, but I think our focus on keeping this win going. Ambition, reaching on 8.4. How do you feel about the current patch for your role? I haven't felt a big change in the jungle role for me. I think I'm trying to just like practice other picks that other people are practicing. We also have the head coach joining us on the stage here. And of course, watching your games today, I'm sure it would have been a back and forth action and really going back and forth for you as well. I know that our recent games haven't been great and we needed this win and it was really important for us. First game was a close win for us and I felt like, you know, just getting that first win got us kind of the momentum that got us the game 2 win at the end. So I felt that coming, definitely. I think it was a really feel-good win for all of us in the organization. I think just felt like game 1 win really did help us get the game 2 victory as well. Let's go over to game 1 real quick. And Vel'Koz, we thought it was a kind of an interesting pick. Let's not elaborate any further. But how'd you feel about that pick? I mean, we were trying out different things, and Crown wanted to pick out some of these champions that he was most personally confident with, and he was kind of just like tossing it out there, just saying, Vel'Koz, what do you guys think? And I mean, he was just thinking that it might have been a possibility. Didn't think he was going to be actually just fully committed on it today. And I'm sure the first game, you did have a very good game, and you guys must have felt good, but it wasn't an easy one for you guys. Yeah, I think it could have been really good or really bad, and it is just the one or the other, and just getting a win was really good for his morale. I want to talk about CuVee along with Crown as well. He was just, wasn't he complaining about what his teammates? Yeah, he was complaining a lot to a point where I kind of closed my ears at the kind of the middle of the game, but I knew that, but he could really hold on even with the disadvantages, so I trusted him even with the deaths that he had faced. And we thought that the top was really demolished ever since the early game, and was it kind of a not worrying situation for you guys? Yeah, we always talked about the balance that we had, even with the top lane, kind kind of getting camped all over. Our other lanes were doing okay, so we were definitely thought that we were still in this game.
그래서 1세트도 그렇고 오늘 뭐 트리스타나가
And of course, the first game, yeah, you did take the role with the Tristana, just putting on an entire hyper carry role.
성장을 잘해서
And we felt like, you know, your teammates did really well to support you on that one.
노리고 저희 이제 벨코즈 그럼 민호 형을 좀 노리길래
You know, we actually were just kind of, I was kind of liking the fact that the opponents were so focused on the Vel'Koz that I had kind of a free room to move around. Let's look at one of the highlights here from game 1 that we can discuss on.
계속해서 아마 콜도 하셨을 것
And
같은데
of course, you probably made some shot calling during these kind of team fights here.
사실 저희가 좀 답답했던 면이 좀 있었던 것 같아요.
I think in the past, we've had situations like this. We weren't really sure on what to be kind of confirmed with and kind of be together in our opinions, in our movements. But I feel like we were a little bit together and more united on our decisions today.
스타일이 있는 거고 상황에 따라서 또 안 풀릴 때가 있고
And of course, you do say that, you know, sometimes your way of pulling out plays does work and sometimes it doesn't. But as a jungler, isn't that a lot of pressure putting on you that all the decisions are kind of based off of yours? I mean, it's not about me trying to make the super plays, but it's about allowing my teammates to do that part. But it's really depending on my condition and my current form of those particular days. You know, just getting the first kill is fine, but when it kind of continues on and when it really becomes kind of towards our favor, that's when we start getting the confidence that we needed. And we can look at one of the highlights here, and we felt like the kind of the team fights was what was lacking in KSV's kind of lack of losses in recent times.
저희가 사실 한 명 죽고 시작한 거잖아요. 근데
And we did start off with one member dying, and I think the opponents felt really confident that they died pretty recklessly. I think that's what got us the kind of the decision to kind of go back forth and got to go on the team fight. And how was it really going back to that fight on that one?
왠지 그 마지막 순간에
Especially in that last minute, we thought that you guys might have lost that team fight. Yeah, I was watching it and it thought it would have been difficult, but each of our teammates did a good job and our players did the right parts to win that team fight, which was the most important of all. Let's look at the champ selects of game 2, and we felt like the opponents were really up to something, trying to pick out something crazy again, but and we felt like but with KSV's picks, it was really very similar picks when it came to the kind of composition you guys brought forth. I mean, we had Azir open, we just thought to give it up and try to get the Vel'Koz in, and it was just all about the things where, you know, even with giving up the Azir, we had a good counter for it, knew how to deal with it, so I think we felt pretty comfortable.
요즘 원데이 메타가 뭐 그런 식으로 밴이 되면은
And a lot of people do say that, you know, Tristana is one of those better picks out there in the ADC in the current patch.
바로스 밴이 고정이잖아요.
I mean, for me, when people play against me, people do ban the Varus against me, that's kind of a staple. So, you know, kind of excluding that out, seems like Tristana is a better pick for the remainder of it. And going on to game 2 with Ambition winning out MVP in this game 2. And we felt like the kind of synergy between you and the Vel'Koz was kind of extraordinary in the fact. And let's look at one of the highlights here, kind of example of what happened here. We just felt like every single skill, the combination that led to all of this was kind of a beauty in itself. It just felt like, you know, Sejuani really missed key skills that allow me to look better in the end, despite all the things that went back and forth. So it wasn't all to my credit. Yeah, I'm sure you as a coach had a fun time watching the games today. I guess it wasn't really entertaining. You know, I had to kind of endure through this, and our recent games haven't been great, so it was a lot of pressure that we had to win. So we were trying to stay focused most of the time. Really not much fun involved in that one. And we were really trying hard, and we were really trying to make sure we get back in form as one of the top teams right now. So I think this win should kind of throttle us to better performances in future games.
그래서 또 마지막으로 하나만 더.
And lastly, what I wanted to ask you was, and CuVee was really going for these kind of big objectives as a top laner, but was that something planned by you, Ambition?
그냥 어떻게 보면은 그 두 번째 판
I think it was mostly in game 2.
그냥 제가 W 스마일인데 안 먹어서
When the Baron was being taken, I tried to use a smite, but smite didn't work, and I couldn't take the Baron. And even with the Elder
카밀 Q도 거의 스마이트보다 세가지고
and Camille Q, you know, at that moment in time is a lot stronger than what smite can potentially do. So it really wasn't.
그냥 저는 이제 딱 타임 맞춰서 썼는데
So I just tried to use the smite in a timely manner. Obviously, definitely wasn't the case, and the top laner's Q was a little stronger than my smite. I want to ask a personal question as well with you, Ruler, but with Tristana playing both games, and it felt like. And it's a little bit of a Korean thing I want to translate to you guys. Do you have to call it Tuta or Tree? It's kind of the shortened way of saying Tristana, not very applicable. But I think what Ruler is saying is he prefers Tuta over Tree. So you guys know the kind of the Korean, the shortening for Tristana from now on, so you guys can refer to it as from now on.
저는 F.
Ambition. I like to put my flash on F, and Ruler likes to play this flash on D. So a lot of kind of simple questions going back for near the end of the interview. But in the end, the most important thing is that KSV did get a very needed victory for you guys. And how do you guys feel just going forward? I know that our recent performances haven't been great, and this win should really start us off into a much better rest of the season. So we just continue to ask for your support. Ambition, you as well? And today's games weren't easy as well. And we want to kind of just regain our old form, and so we can win these games in a much easier fashion. Along with the coach as well. I know our plays itself weren't that great, but getting the win was a good thing for us. And I felt like, you know, even during those losses, I think Crown must have been having the most difficult time. So I just continue to ask to provide him with the love that he needs, and I feel like it's my job as a coach to, you know, kind of share that love as well, just so that we get the positivity, energy that can move us forward. So that is the end of the interview with those three guys coming from KSV, getting a 2-0 victory that they surely needed to kind of press them forward into the rest of the season. So that's going to be the end of the interview, and we'll pass it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Great to hear from KSV, and good to hear from their coach at the same time. Was wondering whether we were only getting that because we only had a solo interview in our first series, but nope. Get coaches all day.
Got new toys over here at OGN, got to catch up and enjoy some new stuff over here. And KSV's got to catch up with the hype train they started off by winning the World Championships. One of the stories for spring season and 2018 was, could KSV back up their World Championship with success in Korea? And certainly it's been a roller coaster all the way from yes to no, but this is the start of something for them. This was the sort of performance that we did not see from them against MVP. So while there are still going to be some shortcomings in the early game, while they are not suddenly going to be able to run away with the league, it's an improvement, a desperately needed one. Speaking of improvements, we have quite the match day tomorrow. The Telecom War needs no introduction. And then we also have top 5 game between FLICKR Freaks and Rox Tigers.
Yeah, Rox Tigers desperate to try and grab themselves a victory here, because with KSV winning that game, they've got SKT hot on their heels as well. FLICKR Freaks needing to try and knock them down a notch to try and get themselves closer to the top of the table. So you're exactly right. Both matches tomorrow are going to be incredible. Hi, guys. We actually found you. We turned in from 3 people to 2. We did well there, didn't we?
We've had too much dinner.
We're trying to do the opposite here on this desk, Papa Smithy.
There was
What's
no
happened?
BBQ chicken today, but it was available. Anyways, guys, tomorrow you got to join us. It'll be Seth and I bringing you, Achilles and I bringing you the Telecom War. You'll be back on Saturday. Plenty of fun League of Legends.
Yeah, super fun League of Legends. So thank you so much for watching, guys. On behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, and OGN, have a really good night. See you tomorrow.
is always dry. Aim high, trust that you're able. You just can't fly. We sing a bad lullaby. 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 Like you never been hurt before. To the fire, these are my words from my sweet child.